Yes, big up, people. Hope you're well. Hope you are doing really good. Happy New Year to you. We're live on both my channel and Lee's channel today to talk all things transfers because the window is open. It's January. We're going to be talking about Arsenal's rumours and links, and maybe we'll touch on some of the other rumours that's happening in that moment as well in relation to not just Arsenal, but the Premier League clubs and also some players that could be going either abroad or that we could be signing or selling. So that's what we're going to have a bit of a chat about. We're also going to look towards the Brighton game tomorrow, which I think both me and Lee will both be going to. So that should be good as well. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to touch on the Brentford performance because we haven't had a chance to talk about that yet. It's literally been football every few days. So it's been so mad. But before we do start, Lee, I know that there's some news you want to talk about to start with to let the viewers know. So I'll hand the mic over to you to start with, mate.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Dan. Some real sad news is that over the Christmas period, Christmas Eve actually, that Adrian Divine, who's all comes on the channel, mostly on the Sundays, and if with us and all that, has been diagnosed to have got bowel cancer. So he's got to go through all the treatment and everything like that. And obviously, we're all gutted on here on this channel, and obviously with Dan's channel as well, because. He's a brilliant contributor, and I've lost Kevin at a young age. I don't want to lose Adrian at a young age as well. We're very, very close. Just a background on Adi, I played football with him to the back end of my career and the beginning of his, and he went into coaching and coached my boy from being just an ordinary player to getting him to county level and getting him at pro clubs. So fantastic coach, great guy. And, he's got a young family as well. So we're all rooting for you, AD. And I think he starts his treatment very, very soon. So good luck with that. And we'll keep you posted how he's going and things like that. But I know that he's had loads of messages in the football groups that we're in and everything like that. And that means a lot. So, the community of Arsenal, I'm sure, will be behind him as well. And praying for you, mate, and get well soon.
Yeah, 100%, man. Listen, I echo that as well. I'm a good friend of Adie's. I think he's a top bloke. And to be fair, I've become good friends with him through Arsenal and through you, Lee. So obviously I echo everything you've said. And I know that we're already having well wishes to wish him all the best and speedy recovery from everyone from both the 12th Man community and Lee Judges TV. So that's really good to know. And I really do hope that things get better and picks up for him. I know he's obviously trying to remain positive, and we all are as well for him. So hopefully things go well over the coming weeks. And you'll have to keep us posted, Lee, and about how he's getting on. So big up to you. I know you're watching and listening, Adi, so top man, and I hope that you do all have a pickup in 2025. So big up to you, man. Listen, Lee, talking about Arsenal, it feels like forever since I've spoken to you, mate, on here. To be honest, it has been a strange one. Christmas and New Year, it just puts everything. I don't know about you, but I have no idea what day it is. I have no idea what we're.
I believe it's Friday today, like, you know what I mean? But I've got no idea.
Isn't it mad? You just you have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and then I have no idea what happens after that. I just go into.
It's a mad week, isn't it? It's a mad week in between. I don't know if a lot of people don't go back to work. A lot of people do. A lot of people have gone back now, haven't they? Like yesterday, some haven't. Still not, gone to work or whatever. It is a really, really mad time. I know when you sort of like the build up to Christmas, you look forward to it, don't you? And then I honestly, Dan, I don't know where this week's gone. It has just flown by. I remember you saying you're off to Centre Park, so that was on the Monday. Bosch, before you know it, you were back. Before, like the Christmas. I've said it and I'll say it again. Christmas Day has got to be the quickest, fastest day of the year. I just don't know where that goes that day. It's unbelievably quick. Before you know it's Boxing Day. And then it is oblivion after that. You don't know what day of the week it is. It's just mad time, So if you are back at work, good luck to you. And just imagine if you have gone back, and a lot of people have on the Thursday and the Friday, and the old Jack Frost has come out for the first time as well, to greet you. Out of order, you know what I mean? I was up early this morning, I had to take Bill to the hospital, and it was freezing this morning, you know what I mean? So, But hopefully, like the weekend's done that. I'll ask you, I'll ask the people in the channel, would you prefer going back now, like Thursday, doing Thursday and Friday, or wait until Monday? It's a big thing for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think if you go in Thursday and Friday, at least it's a short week. But next week, it's going to be a long week for everybody if you haven't doing that. What's your preference?
Yeah, I think short weeks are quite nice, really. It gives you a little bit of a taster, doesn't it? Then you're back up again, and then you go, otherwise you go into the full week of it, and then you got the whole week to do. Maybe that is quite hard. And I don't know. I'm a bit all over the place with days at the moment. I mean, if someone said to me, what is the day today? I wouldn't be able to tell you straight off. I'd have to think and go, oh, it's a Friday, isn't it? I'd have absolutely no idea, mate. You get past Christmas Day and Boxing Day, and I'm just a bit like, right now I'm lost. Do I carry on eating and drinking? And that is literally all you do, isn't it? You carry on drinking. Before you know, I've eaten so much, drunk so much. And then I get a new year, and then it's like, right, new year, new start again. And then everyone's like, I'm speaking to like, oh, I ain't doing that dry January. I'm just going to carry on drinking and eating. You know what I mean? You've got to stop it. It's just like you eat way too much, and why drink too much? But I suppose that's what it's all about, mate.
Yeah, you are right. I've been on 6 meals a day since Christmas Day. You know what I mean? Like, it's just an absolute joke. You just eat for the sake of it, didn't you? I don't know about you, but I've had people around here. I've got more chocolate than a sweet shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's in the fridge. It's there, but you can't. You can't. Right, I'm not having none today. And I sat down last night. I went football 6-side. I said, all right, I'm just going to have a nice little snack. I ain't going to go mad. I'm not eating no chocolates. And it's like I'm sitting there, and the fridge started going open. I'm in here. Chocolate. I could not help myself to go to it and do it, like, you know what I mean? So I'll be glad when a little bit of normality comes back, like, you know what I mean? Because I can't say no to chocolates neither. Biscuits are my worst thing, Dan. Biscuits.
To be fair, it is hard. I've always been more of a crisps over chocolate, but I think of everything this Christmas, mate, I've had, it's just mad, really. But no, look, it's been good. And the new year, new start, mate. And 3 points for Arsenal against Brentford. And I know you were at the game. I weren't there. I must say, I did look at the weather and think, oh, I'm glad I'm in here with my brother-in-law watching this with a beer and chilling out. But I did see that you were up there, mate. So big up to you for going there. It must have been a good game for you. Do you know what? I'll give my quick thoughts on it, and I'll let you come in, Judge, because I was really impressed, mate. I've got to say that. I was really impressed, particularly the second half. I thought the second half performance was really good. And the team talk from Arteta must have been, let's go out there and blitz them, because that's what we did in the first 10, 15 minutes. If I was to pick out some highlights from the game, the one player I want to zoom in on is Thomas Partey, because I thought he was sensational. I've got to be real. I really did. And I've got to be honest with you, brother. I honestly thought it was a really, really good performance from him. And I think it's a fixture that sometimes we always go there and kind of not quite sure how it's going to go, because remember we went there and the first time we played him and we lost, and then since then it's been nicking it, with Havertz headers and last minute goals and stuff like that. I thought it was a really convincing team performance in the second half. I thought Marino really come into the game, particularly in the second half. Partey was outstanding. Ethan Nwaneri on the right hand side we have to mention, because he's come in and covered for Saka there fantastically well. And I thought Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli both had good games, Lee, so it must have been quite a convincing performance for yourself as a kind of fan going there. If I had any negatives on the game, it would be the goal. I think the ball from Odegaard giving it away, Calafiori, I thought the defending was poor, if I'm honest. And Raya was, I thought, could have done better. But other than that, I thought that was really only the sloppiness of there. I thought the first half performance was a bit meh. Second half, I thought we just showed our quality, to be fair. So before we come on to all transfer news and rumours, which is definitely heating up now that it's January, and look towards the Brighton game tomorrow, just your quick thoughts on the game itself, mate.
I don't know about you, but I was nervous before the game, you know what I mean? I think it's because it's New Year's Day. I didn't really fancy it, you know what I mean? Like, you had a late night the night before, and then the wind was smashing against the windows, and I'm thinking, God, I don't want to be, it's a bit of a leveler, isn't it? You're thinking, I don't really want to be going out in that. It was cold, and I wasn't really looking forward. Then I see the team sheet, and I thought, it was a little bit, it's too many changes. I thought we played well, controlling the game, and then, as you say, one poor bit of play, and we're punished. And you're thinking, cool, couldn't it be like that? But the positives was we went 1-0 down and come back for it and looked very, very comfortable. But that second half, that 10, 15 minutes of the second half, the first 10, 15 was sensational. Really just ripped into them, like stepped up a level. They could not handle us, you know what I mean? And that's how I want us to see us play most of the time. But there was a hunger in there. And whatever Arteta said at half-time worked. It was an unbelievable performance. I felt, you know, listen, don't get me wrong, they've got a few injuries and everything like that, but they're still a hard team to beat. Raya was hardly tested. I thought it was just all round really, really good performance. The goal was poor. I've got to say that. We've got to stop doing that. You know what I mean? Like there's a few goals been like that lately, especially when you're on the front foot. I don't know if it is a lack of concentration or whatever, but it's got to stop, you know, and we've got to be a little bit more ruthless away from home as far as defensively concerned. I'll go back, you know, I know it's only one game, that game against Chelsea, you know what I mean? It was sloppy, that last goal. I know it was a great goal by Neto, but the way we allowed him to run through was a bit bad. We've done that on a few occasions, like, but totally dominated the game. And I look back at it, you know, and I realise how good we played until I watched it on TV, how good we was, Dan. Because you know, when you go to a game, sometimes you don't get the real perspective of the game because you can't see what's going on or whatever. But when I look back on it, I didn't realise we was in that much control as we was. So listen, great performance, good start to the season. Needed to do that. You know, needed that after all what had gone on in the days before. A little bit of pressure on us going last as well, last into back there as well. So done really, really well. Brighton now will go on to that one, which is a massive, massive game because it's an away game. They're always tough. And then we've got 5 home games coming up. So, you know, we're still in with a chance. We've just got to keep hanging in there, Dan. And that means you've got to go to Brighton and win the game. You know, you're going as well. So I think, you know, bring your tin hat with you. It's going to be windy and cold down there and wet. And so, yeah, we're going to be cold, like, you know. So hopefully, though, we get the 3 points there. And we've got some real... Oh, listen, I think this month is something that we can't moan about. I know we've got a few injuries, but me and you have been ones that have been going, well, we want us to do well in the League Cup, want us to do well at domestic trophies. That's what happens when you get to the latter stages of the League Cup and the FA Cup. You've got to play like a lot of games in January, and that's what we've got. We've got 2 extra games against Newcastle, FA Cup game coming up, Champions League as well in January, which is for a first. So all things, lots of games.
Agreed, mate. Agreed. Look, I've got to be real. I thought it was a convincing performance, and the good positives from it was one that Saka's out, but Ethan Nwaneri has stepped forward into a role which I think he looks very comfortable in, Lee. My big question, moving on to the Brighton game tomorrow, is he going to remain on the right-hand side? What is he going to do, Mikel Arteta? I'm so interested with this one. We've got a right-back situation, which with Timber being suspended, we now believe Partey will play there, but will he? The other thing I suppose he could do there, I was thinking about if he didn't want to play in there, which I still think he will, he could play Tierney or Calafiori at right-back and then have Miles Lewis-Skelly at left-back, or potentially both Calafiori and Tierney. I think he'll play Partey at right-back. But then what does he do with Havertz? Because Havertz is now back, apparently, so there's opportunity there for him to come in. I don't know. I think what I'd like to see is I'd like to see if Partey plays right back. I'd like to see Rice just come in for Partey and then everything else stays the same. But I don't think that'll happen. I think he's so obsessed with Havertz playing that I think he'll bring him back in.
It's really interesting. I think Havertz was playing on Stephen said it Saturday. I don't know what day was it, like New Year's Day, whenever that bloody was, like, you know what I mean. I think he was playing Wednesday, and I think at the end of the day, maybe was forced into what he had to do. Sometimes you can be forced into things and it works. And I think that it was like, you know, when Yeri's the nearest thing we got to Saka. So I think at the end of the day, maybe he stumbled on it. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck in football. I'm not convinced that he was going to go with that. He might well have been going with that and maybe Havertz instead of Marino. I don't know. You know, only Mikel will know that. But Havertz was apparently at the hotel when then they were sent home. So I do believe that Havertz would have played. But I think now that he was so good in that role that you can't leave him out.
Yeah.
Will he leave him out? Possibly. Because I think Trossard might come in and Martinelli go to the right. That's an option. But for me, I think that, you know, listen, we've got a massive game on Tuesday. Then we've got a massive game against Man United. Then Tottenham. you can rotate a few players here. It may be that Martinelli steps out of this one, or maybe even Wanyeri does step out of this one because it's away from home, and then Wanyeri comes in against Newcastle in that role. It'd be really interesting to see what he does. I would like to see Wanyeri now have a little bit of a run in there in that position. You know, I think he played 60, 65 minutes. Why can't he do that all the time? What I really was enjoyable about it was that he went round players like Saka does, and that's what we haven't had on that side. So it'd be interesting from that point of view. I think that you're right. I think that Rice comes in place of Partey. Partey goes to right back, sensible. Even though I'm really happy with that, but I think that's the way you got to go. And Havertz one. I'm sorry, as you know, I'm a fan of Havertz, as you well know. But for me, he'd be on the bench for this game. Maybe come in on. You know, he's going to be used down the line in other positions. Maybe at home you can get away with him being in midfield when teams park the bus. I don't think Brighton are going to. And I felt that at Crystal Palace we got away with it a little bit, being a little bit too open. So I think if I'm Arteta, I'm saying to Havertz, you know, like on the bench, you know, if we need you, you know, that's great. But that's what I would do anyway.
Look, what I would do is Partey at right back, Rice comes in for Partey, everything remains the same. And the reason I say that is not because I don't like Havertz. Some people think I don't like Havertz. I do like Havertz. I think he's a definite contributor to the squad. But that's what I think we should remain him as. I don't think there's any problem with having Havertz to bring on, Lee, with 20, 25 minutes to go. I think it's a brilliant sub. We do it with Trossard. Why can't we do it with some of our other players? I think if you look on form at the moment, although Havertz is our top scorer, Gabriel Jesus doesn't deserve to be dropped. Ethan Nwaneri doesn't deserve to be dropped after that performance. I don't think you can drop Odegaard and use Havertz there. I think Odegaard, although if you look at his game performance, it was a bit of a mixed bag, if I'm honest. I looked at some of the stuff he did and thought it was great. Looked at other stuff he did and thought it was pretty poor. And I thought Martinelli is starting to come into these games in the away games now where I just don't think we can actually drop him either. So for me, I don't think it's a bad thing to have Havertz off of the bench personally. But look, I've got some questions that I wanted to throw to you today because I've been asked a couple of these questions and I wanted to put them to you and maybe the chat can get involved as well, right? They're more like true or false statements that I wanted to come with you, and that will move us nicely into the transfer news as well. This is the first question. Arsenal more free-flowing without Havertz. Do you think that's true or false?
No. This season, maybe, but definitely not last season. Look at when Havertz was playing down the middle. I think that we're free flowing either way. I just think it's the way that we play a little bit. I think even on Wednesday, you could see that there was two sides to the coin there. The first half wasn't so much that. When we really let off the brakes, you know, it was different. So. I don't think. I think definitely when he plays in midfield, but not when he's up front. I think that we can be as devastating that way, like, you know.
So I'm going to agree and disagree. I actually do think we're much better when he's up front. That's what I do agree with. I do feel that we're a little bit more free-flowing, and I'll explain what I mean by that. And again, I'm not knocking Havertz here. This is not about that. This is just about our style of play at the moment. I don't like it when we smash it up to Havertz all the time. I actually quite like it when we get it on the ground and knock it about. And I think with Jesus, I think we do that more. Now, I do think we do need another striker ahead of Jesus and Havertz before people start thinking that we're now playing brilliant again because Havertz is at the side. I think both Havertz and Jesus can give and contribute to this side and this squad. I think that's just facts, right? When I look at what Havertz brings, I honestly believe he should be used, and I hope he will be when we get this striker, whenever it be. I think he should be used as our kind of super sub, a little bit like Trossard does, because he brings on different dimension to the squad, different dimension to the team. And I think what he does is he brings up some link-up play, causes havoc, causes a nuisance, gives some aerial threat, and I just think comes on and does a job. Now, a lot of people will say you can't pay £65 million, put someone on 290k a week and say that you're now a squad player. I think we can, Lee, because we're the Arsenal. You can't do that if you're West Ham because he's their big signing and he's their number one and he's got to start. But I don't think 65 million is, wow, he's got to play every game. And I don't think that it matters really how much he's on it, about how he's performing and what form he's on. I think we can do better than Kai Havertz in the number 9. I think you would probably agree with that as much as you like him. And I think when we do get that player, whoever the hell it is, I don't think there's anything wrong with using Havertz as a squad player. But it seems there's a few people that are a bit like, oh, you can't do that because he's Havertz. He's our number one. Shit. I don't know if I see him like that, Lee.
No, I don't see any of those players like that apart from Saka. If I'll be really honest, you know what I mean. And that's what you have to do. I think that you know, there's so many games now. Look at the games coming up thick and fast. You pick me. I'll go through them now. You've got Brighton, Newcastle, Man United, Tottenham. Right. Pick a game that you want to play in and one you don't. They're all big. They're all big games, aren't they? Like, you know what I mean? Man. So why can't you play one in another? So I don't think there should be any picking and choosing of it. I think that, you know, you need to have a bit of a run, and players, you know, need to realise that they're what they are. And I think rotation is different to being left out and whatever. And I've got no problem with that. I think that at this moment in time, Partey's been left out on a few occasions. Declan Rice has been left out on a few occasions, but they've come back straight in, and that's what I think you've got to do with Havertz. I don't think there's anybody who should have the divine right to say that, you know, they're a nailed-on starter. And if Wanyeri keeps going the way he's going, then you'd be turning around and saying that, you know, he could give Saka a bit of a break when he comes back eventually, like, you know. So I'm with you on this. There's no, you know, I think in any great team, whether it be Arsenal, Man United, even like your teams that you've played in, you've got 4 or 5 players that are your mainstay players, and you know you know who they are, and then the rest of them make the contribute in other ways. Now you can't have, if you haven't got a good enough 6 players, you ain't winning nothing. You know what I mean? So they're very, very important. I believe that Havertz should be one of those 6 players, if you like. You know what I mean? Of that, but they need to be top players as well, Dan. You know what I mean? If you want to be a really, really good side. So, and you're right, Trossard is something you can look at there, like, and does that role. So yeah, I think that you're right on that. Like, you know, I want to see. If the likes of Martinelli, Trossard, Havertz, maybe even Wanyeri, let's put Wanyeri in there, become backups to the players in front behind it, that's fantastic. That means you've got some hell of a strike force, and that's what you want.
Facts. Listen, I can't agree with it. I think the squad that's there, that leads me on nicely to this question. You kind of touched on it. How do we rotate to get through both the cup games and then still beat Brighton and Spurs? This is going to be interesting for Mikel Arteta now, Lee.
Very interesting. I worry about the 2 cup games in between these league games, because first and foremost, Newcastle, I don't think that they will rest too many players.
They're on form as well, Lee.
They're on form, so I think they're going to go in strong. I think Arsenal will go in as strong as they can against that, because it's the home leg. But I fear that we might not get the result we want. The Man United game, I'm gonna watch that with one eye shut, because I do think that Arsenal will make a lot of changes in that game. I think that we will. I think that we'll make changes, not wholesale changes, particularly up front, because we haven't got that option. But I do think that at the back, I think it's an opportunity where Kivior gets a game. Shinchenko will probably play. You know, I think that a few of the players that have not had some minutes might get some game time there, and they will play a strong side. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. That's the game that I would rotate. I think Neto will probably play in that game. Give Ray a bit of a break. Now, listen, when Man United played Tottenham in the semi-final a couple of weeks ago, Tottenham went full strength, and they didn't. They made quite a few changes. So I don't know if Man United can afford to make too many changes. I don't know. So it'd be an interest in that. That's the one there. But I you know, like Tottenham have got Tamworth on the weekend, so on the Sunday. So they're going to rest. I know, like the manager's saying he ain't got a lot of players in that, but I bet there's a few that, you know, will be rested. So those 2 league games, I think we've got to go big and strong in. the cup games, I think it's going to be a little bit of chance. Like a little bit like we did against Crystal Palace, Dan. You know what I mean? Took a gamble there, got away with it. I think we might have to take a gamble in those 2 games as well. The Champions League games at the back end of this one, I don't think you can take a chance. Maybe start off strong, get a few goals up, and then make changes in that one. So this is going to be really interesting. Hopefully Sterling will be back by the back end of it. But we need to bring in some players because we've only got really one we can rotate from the front 4 now. Maybe Havertz making it 2 now with Wanyeri going up to that position. But I do think that we need some strength up top to just, whether you think it's going to be a top signing or not, someone that can come in and just give everybody a bit of a breather. So, listen, I think 5 games at home, you'd expect us to win most of them, if not all of them. So, but the one game you don't want us to see us go, like resting a couple of players and messing about with things, is Tottenham. As far as I'm concerned, I want that game. Listen, Spurs, I don't think are going to come here and defend like I think Manchester United will and Newcastle will. But Tottenham will come and go for it. So I think that out of the 3 games would be an interesting one. So, yeah.
Yeah, listen, it's going to be really interesting to see how he does rotate, and I think that he will. I'm going to agree with you. I think the games that we're going to rotate for is going to be the Carabao Cup games. If I'm honest with you, I think he's probably going to do similar in the Man United game as well. And I'm not going to say what I think each team will be for each game because we've got 5 games. We cannot play our strongest 11 in all 5 games. We ain't got the squad for that, right?
No.
And with Saka and Ben White and other people out on top of that, it ain't going to really help. What I will say is I'm with you in the Carabao Cup and potentially the Man United games. I expect to see Jorginho start. I expect to see Miles Lewis-Skelly start. I expect to see Kivior start. I expect to see Waneri start. I expect to see Jesus start. If I'm honest, one of Trossard or Martinelli will probably start as well. But that's sort of 6 players. I don't want to really change it much more than that. Otherwise you're starting to make wholesale changes.
Yeah.
And you just can't get any momentum then. So that's what I would say. I expect to see those names playing in legs against Newcastle and the Man United Cup game. Neto, I think, will play in goal for Man United game. I think that will probably happen. Give Raya a break. Obviously, he can't play in the Carabao Cup games. I think it's really important that we win tomorrow, but it's really important that we win that home leg because we need to be going into St James's Park winning, I think. And then Manchester United at home, I fancy us. I just don't think they're playing well enough. Even with some changes to freshen our legs, I still fancy us against them. They're just not quite right at the moment. It's always difficult because it's a cup tie, but I do fancy our chances. And then we go in the North London derby. And, Chris Hudson was right. He came on my channel yesterday or the day before and he said, we'll know by the start of February what our season looks like because the transfer window will be shut and we'll either be out of all of everything or we'll be in everything still. And I think he's right. Because we're going to know, won't we? Are we out of the Carabao Cup and out of the FA Cup and the transfer window's shut, we're not happy and we've lost to Tottenham and everyone's raging? Or is it going to be, oh my God, we're flying, we've sorted ourselves out in January, we've gone through to the final of the Carabao Cup, we're in the next round of the FA Cup and we've beaten Spurs in the North London derby, everyone's tip-top? Or is it going to be a bit of a mixture, Lee, where we actually go out of one of the competitions, maybe we draw a couple of games, but we're still sort of half and half and we're still linked with a couple of players? We're really going to know, aren't we? This is going to be a mental few weeks.
We are, and I'm sorry. I don't think that bringing these players in at the end of January is going to be the answer. I think we need them before. Listen, if Arsenal are in everything at the end of January and don't sign anybody, don't get excited. Don't get excited because all those players will be burnt out, and the chances are when they come to the crunch games in the Champions League and all that there won't be nothing left in the tank, So it's down to Arsenal now, down to the ball, down to the people off the field, what they want to do. They've got to bring in bodies. I'm not saying they've got to bring in £100 million Isak players because let's be really honest, he's not going to come. And why would Newcastle sell him when they're chasing for Champions League? They've got a great chance of getting in the top 4 at this moment in time. The battle for top 4 is going to be immense. They beat Tottenham on Saturday, I think it is. I think that they're back in that. So there's no way that they're going to do that. But there are players out there that can just help the squad. You know what I mean? I honestly don't think we're all going to come the end of the end of this transfer window. I don't think none of us are going to be excited by what we've got. But I do believe we get a couple of squad players in that can just rotate when we need it to be done, Dan. And I think that's very, very important. I expect that if we don't have two bodies in by the end of, well, I think we need one in within the next couple of weeks, and definitely two by the end of it.
Yeah, look, it's moving on nicely to the rumours that are coming out. Obviously, we're being linked with players at the moment where everyone is, let's just be real, that's what happens in the January transfer window or any transfer window. But there is suggestions that there are some movements. Listen, Team News and Ticks, I'm not going to say they're unreliable or they're reliable. They are a source that we are going to talk about. And I don't like to sort of say that they're reliable and they're not reliable. It's just literally rumours. That's all we do on this channel is we discuss it. We don't say that we're picking this because it's our favourite and we're picking this because we don't like it. We're going to laugh at it. We're just going to discuss what is being discussed out there in the media. And this is something that's being discussed at the moment. Team News and Ticks put earlier that he's told there's one player who Arsenal are very close to agreeing terms with, but getting him out of his club will be the hard part. I don't have a name at the moment. Arsenal were taking the approach they took in the 23 summer transfer window in trying to agree terms with players and get them on board in order to, in theory, make it easier to get them out of their current clubs. Since then, what has happened is it has been revealed that that name or that player is Matheus Cunha. Apparently, he's the player in question. Arsenal will have to pay over the valuation to sign the player this month. Now, what that means, in my opinion, Lee, is we do like him. We probably want him. We've asked Wolves. We've asked Cunha. Cunha said, yeah, I'll come, Arsenal. Wolves have said, not yet. We want to stay up and we want Cunha to help us do that. Come back in the summer. If you want him now, he's going to be a ridiculous amount of money. Now, I was on with Curtis earlier and we both sort of agreed that if this is going to be the one that we want and it's going to take us close to 80 or 90 million, I'd rather look elsewhere, Lee. Where are you at on this one, bruv?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Listen, I think he's a good player. I've been more than impressed every time I've seen him. Would he help us? Yeah, because I think someone said in the chat, where does he play? I think he plays across all three positions. So I think it's a fantastic signing if we can get him, because he would do a lot for us, cover us on all fronts. But Wolves are in a relegation battle. They're 1 point off the back of the bottom. You know, if they was to say 60, 70, 80 million, say what it is, you know, they can get the 60, 70, 80 million and then go down. I think it's a massive gamble from Wolves' point of view. I think if Wolves are mid-table, Dan, I think you could say, yeah, this is a deal that could happen because the player would want it. Listen, the player's going to want it whatever happens. He's realistic. He's going to go in there and he'll say to him, you know, obviously I want to go to Arsenal. They're going to be in the Champions League. They're changing the title and things like that. Of course he's going to want to go. But the club are going to be like, you know, we understand that. We get that you'd want to go. But listen, we want to stay up. And if we stay up, we'll let you go, you know, in the summer, and I don't think there'll be any restrictions on that come the summer. But you know, listen, unless he kicks up a real stink and says he's not going to play and all that, and then do you want that sort of player? I don't know. So it's a very, very difficult one. Listen, don't when people turn around to you and say, "Oh, nothing's going to get done." If you want it bad enough, you can get things done. Let's just get that really, you know, honestly, you can get that done. But you're taking their talisman out of it. It'd be really interesting to see what Wolves do in their next two games, because he's suspended, isn't he, for the next two games. If they don't get any points from them, they're going to go, well, we can't afford them. Well, if they get wins out of those games, they may say it like. But I just don't see why Wolves would want to sell unless he's very, very unhappy about the situation. And I don't think that he's going to be that. He doesn't seem that sort of player. So we'll have to wait and see on it, like, you know what I mean? You know, I can't see it happening. I could definitely see it happening if Wolves weren't where they are, but they're in a precarious position down the bottom there, Dan. You know, you take, you know, difficult. It's like saying to Arsenal, well, you know, Real Madrid, you can take Saka now, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to go, well, no, it ain't happening.
Give us
Till
250 million, like, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Like, that's the thing.
yeah.
I get it, and look, I get why Wolves are doing it. They ain't going to go, yeah, take him, Wolves, yeah, go for it. They're going to want. Hang on a minute, you can have him in the summer, but right now we're in dire straits. We need his help. So if you want him now, it's going to cost you a bomb because we've got to try and replace him. So he's going to be 80 million or something mad like that, which I think is too much. If we're paying 80 for him, I'd rather go and release the clause of Osimhen or Gyökeres, if I'm honest with you. That's what I'd rather do. And then you still have
Kudus at West Ham.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah,
because
exactly that.
I think with West Ham, you know what I mean. I'm looking at them and going, look, you know, they can get the money now and get it in the summer, but I think that they're going to be safe or just safe. So I would think that would be more easier to do. Like for instance, if Wolves were in West Ham's position, I would say yeah. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds silly. It's only like sort of 7 more points, but 7 points down the bottom's a lot, Dan. You know what I mean? So
it is.
You know, I think that it's going to be really interesting what Arsenal do in the summer because I think they need a midfield player as well. So it will be interesting, you know. But listen, Arsenal got the money. There's no two ways about it. They've got the money. It's whether the teams will be prepared to sell. Now, you know, we've done everything, I think, was it last season or season before to try and get Caicedo. Do you remember we put him?
Yeah.
Impact. Didn't happen because, you know, Brighton didn't want to sell. You know, come the summer, they did. So,
it does seem similar to that, doesn't it, with Cunha? It does.
It's going to be similar to that, like, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure the player will make waves to say that he does want to go, but ultimately it will come down to Wolves and Wolves won't sell.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, there is other news as well on Arsenal linked with a striker. Evan Ferguson is the name. If I'm honest with you, I hope this is a bit of a nasty rumour, if I'm honest with you. Arsenal are eyeing a deal for Evan Ferguson, but face competition from Fulham and West Ham. I think that says it all for the 20-year-old striker. TalkSport suggests apparently he's available on loan. He can't get in the team at the moment ahead of João Pedro and Danny Welbeck, which I think is very concerning and huge red flags. He's definitely got potential. 18 years old, a couple of years ago, I think Arsenal were looking at him, and perhaps he would have been a good signing back then. If you look at what we did have and didn't have, we were going for trying to get into a title race at the time from Champions League football, and I think he probably would have made sense there, to be fair, to try and grow with us as a team while we were through a kind of process, as everyone kept telling us. I don't think this is what we need to get us across the line. I think we need much better than that. I've not been impressed by the fact that he can't stay fit and can't get into the Brighton setup. He did look good at 18. He's got attributes I quite like, but I don't think he's any better than Havertz or Jesus, mate. What's your thoughts on this one?
Do you know what? You're right. 2 years ago, you know, I thought he was sensational and all that, but he has fallen off a cliff. You know what I mean? Like, there's no two ways about it. You know, I remember him playing at the Arsenal when he could, you know, Saliba and Gabriel just ruined him that day. Like, you know, he couldn't do nothing right. But you know, there is potential in him. Now, do we want potential? I don't know. You know, at the end of it, if you said to me, well, we ain't going to sign no one or Ferguson, I'm taking Ferguson. I think that that is something that I would. Bradley, I did get that quote from you, by the way. I did see that what you said. So I was thinking it, but you said it and I repeated it. So, yeah, I thought he was going to be a hell of a player. And I think that a couple of years ago, I think there was rumours 20, 30 million for him as a young 18-year-old. Listen, because if things are not going well for him at Brighton, a new lease of life or whatever, I think it'd have to be a loan, see what it's going like, you know. So I'm not against it. I'm not against anybody that I get in. You know, because I think at the end of the day, we're not going to be excited about these. If it is Ferguson, you know, you're going to have to say, look, hope he does well, but I'd rather have him than nothing, Dan. You know what I mean? Like, and you can play, you know, I'm not being horrible. We've got FA Cup game. We beat Man United, saying we've got, I don't know, Doncaster or somebody like that in the next round. I don't even know if Doncaster, I'm just saying that. You can say, right, well, Leo, Evan, go out there and play that game. And that gives your main guys a bit of a breather, like, you know. So I'm not against it. Any sort of thing that we can do, like, you know. And because these things are not working out of him at Brighton, Doesn't mean to say it's not going to work out Arsenal. Like, I know it's different. I know people are going, oh, it's different now. Things weren't working out for Thierry Henry at Juventus. Like, but you just go back to that. People will turn around and say, oh, look, we done in the World. He weren't great in the World Cup. He was all right in the World Cup. He ain't even getting a game for Juventus now. Like, all of a sudden, like, oh, what we got him for? Look what happened. So, I listen, if Arsenal go in for him and they sign him, I am a little bit in the place though, Dan, and we spoke about this before. I'm not keen on loan players. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, when have loan players ever won you the league? Not very often. You can go to oh God, my memory is going. Larsson at Man United when he came in from Celtic.
Henrik Larsson.
Henrik Larsson. It can happen every now and then. But ultimately, I don't think that it does. So I think that what we need a couple of players just to get us through, like, at the end of the day, Dan. And I'm not in this position where I'm going to be fussy. You might call me, mate. Don't get me wrong. I like to see us get some proper players in, like, Vlahovic has been mentioned. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I would wait. I think my personal preference would be, I said it on your channel when we asked to do that clip, would be John Duran. That would be my one I'd go for. Again, you know what I mean? Villa ain't going to sell. Villa are not going to, it's a summer move for me. If that's where you want to go down that route, it's Champions League Cup side. We've got to be looking at that as well. Someone that can play in the Champions League as well, Dan. You know what I mean? It's a real thing for me. Listen, we're not going to get let's get this right. I don't think you're going to get Isak. I don't think you're going to get Duran in this transfer window. So it's about getting people to get to the summer to go from there. And that's how it's going to be. I think I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm willing to take. I'm put my hands up there. I'm willing to take a gamble on Ferguson. I'm willing to take a gamble on Rashford. I really am. Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't think I'd rather have Rashford and Ferguson in than nothing at all, Dan. There you go. I've said it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? And people go, yeah, Rashford. No. Well, I'd rather have Rashford than nothing. And then they say if anything happens to Martinelli or whatever, we're in big trouble. And that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I might be clueless on this one. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not an expert at what we're going to get. All I know is that I know from January it's going to be very, very difficult to go and get you. You know what I mean? Be honest. Why on earth would Newcastle say, yeah, you can have our best player?
Well, they're not going to in January. We're not going to in January.
He's got 3 years left of his contract. Why? So people say that I'm clueless. Fair enough. Bring out some names now that you think that we can get that are realistic in January. And I'll see if you in the chat are clueless or not. Right? I know what you're going to say, like, realistic ones as well. Realistic. Right? And I'll be interested to know.
Well, there we go. Spam them in the chat and we'll put them up. Let's do a couple of super chats. BBK Sports says it's better not be Rashford. Big up to you, my bro. B-Ron Breaker also says just watch. It'll be Alex Biena or Alberto Malero. Now, both of those have actually been linked with quite a few clubs. Malero, I think, has got a release clause for the summer. And Alex Biena is a guy that I think everybody's looking at the moment. He's over at Villarreal, absolutely killing it in the Liga. So they'd be good options. There's lots and lots of names. Gyökeres and Osimhen are being mentioned, Lee, because they've got their release clause. Yes. And I think that's what we've got to look at, is the ones that have got the release clauses are obviously 100%. Realistic, aren't they? Because, if you're more chance of having a chat with Gyökeres than you are Isak, because Gyökeres, you've just got to put the release clause down, then you can talk. With Isak, you're not going to agree a deal, not in January, might not even agree one in the summer. So it could be a mad one. Let's bring up this. There's still some more rumours coming in at the moment. Let's bring up this one. Marmoush is a player who is on absolute fire at the moment, Lee, over at Frankfurt. He's got 20 goals and assists in just 15 games, 13 goals in those 15 games and 7 assists. Plays as a left forward or striker. He's an Egyptian international who knows Mo Salah very well. Liverpool and Arsenal both linked. Manchester City, we believe, also. But Arsenal is said to be leading the race for the signature of him. There's interest from PSG and AC Milan, as well as Liverpool, Arsenal and City. I like this rumour because he's on fire, Lee. And I wanted a player who's going to come in, be guaranteed to hit the ground running and be on form. That's why I don't want Rashford or Ferguson, because they're going to need the best part of the last 3 months of the season to get going. I want someone to hit the ground running and take us across that line. And I think this will be an interesting signing, Lee.
Yeah, well, listen, I put that in front of Rashford and I put that in front of Ferguson without a shadow of a doubt, Dan. Like, you know what I mean? And if you get him, great. All I'm saying is with the other people, if you can't get anything, I'll take them. So I think that Arsenal should be looking a little bit higher than what we've mentioned. Listen, if Frankfurt are willing to sell, and it looks like they might be, then, you know, it's something that we should be looking to do. So, you know, certainly I think that we're in a good position, Dan. We're second in the league. We're going into the Champions League. Looks like, you know, we're going to qualify for the Champions League, whether it be via the next round or whatever. We're going to be, you know, it is a good time for Arsenal to be able to try and bring in a couple of players, particularly players like that are not at the big clubs in Germany. You know, I mean, they'd be willing to go. So I think it's very, very important that what we do is, you know, and no messing about, Dan. As you said, like, you know, you've got other teams that are going to be looking for it. Like Man United, I don't think, you know, are going to be looking for players for strikers and everything like that. So, yeah, I'm happy with that one. Like, you know.
Yeah, no, I quite agree. I think that would be a really good option for us. Look, it might not be that he wants to go, but there are a lot of other links to other wingers. Cunha is obviously one of them. The other link is the same link that we had over in the summer, Lee, Nico Williams, which has come out today, suggesting that there is a release clause of £49 million that we could release and activate. And that would allow us to speak at least to the player who, from what I understand, doesn't really have his heart set on leaving Spain. We were told in the summer that he probably wasn't going to be going. It has come to fruition again. There's a lot of rumours, Lee, that Arteta really likes this player. Obviously, Williams lit up the Euros. He was phenomenal on that left-hand side. I think he would be a good signing and can play on both the left and the right-hand side. However, this season, I think he's only got a couple of goals, and everyone's getting on Martinelli's back and Trossard's back. They've scored more than him this season, you know? So I don't know what your thoughts are on this one. Nico Williams would be a realistic signing because he's got a release clause that's affordable for 49 million. Do you see this one happening in January, or do you think
listen, it could well do. He hasn't excited me. I watched him in the Euros. I'm going to say a little bit hit and miss. You know what I mean? Like, there were good things that he done. Looks a good player and everything like that. But you're right. I don't know what's gone on with him at this moment in time. He's not been, maybe because didn't get the move. I don't know, Dan. Like, you know what I mean? But again, if that's who Mikel fancies and that's the one that he wants, then I'll take that. But as you say, you know, everybody goes, yeah, let's get him and everything like that. But he hasn't been pulling up trees, has he? Like, you know what I mean? So again, I'll say it again. I'd rather have him than nothing at all.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. That one, I do, I must admit. And I think there's definitely some fans out there that would be excited by that one. But if you look at the actual form of the player, he ain't been phenomenal. Like, he hasn't been. So look, I don't know what we are going to do, but the players will continue to be linked, Lee. They will continue to be linked, and that's what we have to now deal with. Look, last couple of things is some players that might be on the way out. This one I really don't believe it will be anything to worry about, of course, this January or even the summer. But at some stage, Real Madrid are going to come knocking, mate. And it's starting already. Florentino Perez, has reportedly made Arsenal's William Saliba his dream signing for Real Madrid in the near future. Those 4 words are really important. That does not mean he's leaving in January or the summer even, but I honestly believe one day he will be wearing a Real Madrid shirt. I think he's that good, but I hope that we can keep him for a few seasons. Let me just ask you this, Lee, right? Just quickly on Saliba. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's unbelievable, right? Do you think even if he wins everything at Arsenal in the next 2 years, let's say that he wins unbelievable amounts of trophies. Let's say this season he wins a Champions League and a Carabao Cup. Next season he wins a Premier League and FA Cup. Season after that he wins a Champions League and a Premier League again. If that's 3 years, let's say, right? I would absolutely love that. It'd be a dream, right? It probably won't happen, but let's just say it does. I still think he'd go Real Madrid, even if he wins stuff. So I've kind of feel like I've accepted one day he will play for Real Madrid. The only way that we can try and keep him happier at Arsenal is to win stuff. But even if he wins stuff with Arsenal, he might then say, like Trent has, I've won everything here. I'm going to go and have a new challenge.
Exactly that. He might not win nothing at Arsenal. Think, no, I want to stay because I want to win things at Arsenal. I'm desperate to win things at Arsenal. You keep winning and all that. A little bit like Vieira. All of a sudden you think, do you know what? I want another challenge. I want to go and win something else and like that. So whatever way it can be, you can be too successful for your own good or not so successful for your own good. What the best thing is to do is to win all the trophies. And if he does decide to leave, then someone else comes in. This is what someone said to me the other day. And I think it's a great, great point. And I'm not like it. And I'm pretty sure you're not, and people in the chat are not. Never get attached to the players. Never get attached to the manager. Just to get attached to the club. Let the club win. And whatever happens with players come and go. And that is such a great bit of advice that went in one ear and out the other. Because it's not the way I am, like, you know what I mean? I think you do get attached to players. I think the reason that you become an Arsenal fan, and a lot of Arsenal fans, is because of players. I really only could talk about not so much Arsenal, but like, I follow Yorkshire cricket, right? The reason was because Jeff Boycott. Jeff Boycott's not played for Yorkshire now for 40 years, but he was the reason that I followed Yorkshire, and it's gone on and on and on. So there's people like that. I never got attached to Fabregas. As much as I love Fabregas as a footballer, I never got attached to him like I did, say, like an Aaron Ramsey or Jack Wilshere, because I knew one day he was going to go to Barcelona, and it happened. So when he left, he weren't set. But put me, the Van Persies, I really did like Van Persie. I go back to the Liam Bradys at the time, Frank Stapledon's, Charlie Nicholas. I was majorly, invested in, like, you know what I mean? Like Paul Merson was, you know what I mean? I'll tell you a story when Paul Merson left Arsenal. I said to my brother, I said, I ain't going to go no more, not following no more. I'm really gutted about it that summer, like, you know what I mean? Because we brought in Petit and Overmars, and I weren't happy about it. After being top after about 6 games, and my brother said, "You still going, are you?" I said, yeah, of course I am. So it is right, but you do get attached to players, like, I love Saliba. I think he's a fantastic footballer. What will be, Dan. That's how I see it, like, you know what I mean? But I totally agree with what you said there. He might win 2 titles in the next 2 years and a Champions League, and he might turn around and say, I've done it all here at Arsenal. I want another challenge. He might not win nothing and go, do you know what? I want to stay here and I want to win something at Arsenal. So you don't know. You just don't know. Win titles.
I've got to say, I got attached to players when I was a kid, so I'm over that now. I got attached to Ian Wright. I hated Anelka. Absolutely couldn't stand him because he come into the club and Ian Wright had to go. I was like, I hate this kid. He's bloody good. I can't stand him. I've done all that. You know what I mean? So for me, I had my heroes, Ian Wright and all the other guys. I hated the fact that Henri left and all that, but I was a lot younger then. I don't get attached like that now. You do get attached to players, but you'll understand. I don't hate on Ashley Cole, Fabregas, Vieira, Van Persie. Their ambitions didn't match Arsenal. It's us that we should be angry with, not them, because we couldn't keep them happy because we weren't winning stuff. I don't want that to happen to these Salibas and Sakas of this world, right? We've got to try and change that this time. So that's what can't happen. But look, there is obviously the last room I wanted to talk about quick was Kieran Tierney. Looks like he's going to be off skis to Celtic
Yeah.
Not a massive shock or surprise, to be honest, Lee.
No.
Celtic are in talks to sign him on a pre-contract because he's on his last 6 months an Arsenal deal. Potentially a loan move this window is also being discussed. What should we do here? Do you think we try and get some money from Quick, or just loan him out and let him go on a free? Like,
I don't think he's been treated fairly enough for us to get money for him. I think at the end of the day, I would just say, Kieran, you know what I mean, been a great servant for us. He's knuckled down, and we were. I just think, like, you know, tear up his contract, mutual consent, and good luck to him at Celtic. I think the boy deserves to play. I don't think that playing in the Premier League or even in, dare I say it, the top teams in Europe is physically up to him for his body. So going to Celtic where he can play, be rested and everything like that, I think would be fantastic for him. I just want him to enjoy the rest of his career, because I think he's been a fantastic servant for us. Doesn't deserve the treatment that he's got for whatever reason. So I don't care about the money for him. Like, I just want him to be happy in life, and if it means going back to Celtic and playing regular, good luck, Kieran Tierney. You've been fantastic for us, and I think you've deep down, personally, I think he's been harshly treated. That's how I feel.
Yeah, listen, you know what my thoughts are. I really love the kid, and I hope he goes on to do well. And I think at 27 years old, he's still got a career ahead of him. He ain't old and finished, and I hope he does well at Celtic. I really do. And I looked at something yesterday, and it was 1 to 11 of Arteta players that have played the most minutes. Funny enough, who was our left back? Kieran Tierney. So people that come to me and say, oh, he's all cropped, he's always injured. Well, he's more minutes than Zinchenko. He's had more minutes than Tomiyasu. He's had more minutes than Nuno Tavares. He's had more minutes than Calafiori. He's had more minutes than Timber. So stop all this rubbish. It weren't because he was cropped, because he weren't fancied by the manager. That is just the facts. And the reason he was fancied by the manager to start with is because we didn't have anybody else, because that Kolasinac is a donkey. So that's why he was playing left back most minutes. So that's what I will like to say, because I am going to stick up for the kid, because I think he deserves it. I don't think he's nowhere near as bad as what some people thought. And I don't know why people thought he's bad, to be fair, but there we go. People like a modern day inverted fullback now for some reason, which is bizarre. But there we go. Look, Lee, last couple of things I'll chuck at you are these two questions that I keep getting asked. Should we break the bank for Isak? Now, obviously, we mean that in the summer, but there might be some that are saying that we should just slap 100 million down in January for him and unsettle him. What are you saying?
I don't think it's going to unsettle him in January. I think, like, you know, they'd be like, they'd be mad to do that in January, like. But summer, if they're not in the Champions League, then yeah.
I agree. I think we have to get him. I think we absolutely have to break the bank. And I'll go as far as to say, if that's who we get in the summer and no one else, so be it. Because that's how good and highly I rate this lad. I know we need more, and I think we'll have to get something in January and then Isak in the summer. But for me, I think it's an absolute must. And I'll be absolutely devastated if he goes anywhere else. If he went to Chelsea, or if he went to like Liverpool even, or even, you know, unless he goes abroad after Newcastle, I'll be absolutely devastated if he went to one of our rivals instead of
if he leaves, like you know, Newcastle, which is no guarantee because they're still a big club, and whatever, like, you know, and they're on the cusps of winning things. I think that, you know, they've got a semi-final, of course, against us. They can still go deep in the FA Cup as well. Listen, I think he's a fantastic player. 100 million. We've done it before. We can do it again, like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Last question to wrap up. Is this true? Arsenal need more than one attacker in January.
Well, I do think that we need that. I think that we've got two out at the moment. I don't know how long Sterling's going to be out for, but, you know, I honestly think Saka's not going to be about all season. I've said it now. I'm quite happy and willing to put that on record. I don't think he's coming back. I think they're keeping that very, very quiet. You know, Sergio on the hamstrings. So two players, yeah.
I agree, but I don't think we're going to get two.
Well,
I think we're going to get one. I think we're going to get like a Marmoush or a Cunha and that'll be it. I don't think we'll get anything else. And then I think in the summer we'll dip it again. But would that be enough? I hope so. I mean, that's what I'm doing then, Lee. I'm praying that no one else goes down. You know what I mean? That happens in football. You've got to have a little bit of luck in football. You've got to have a little bit of luck with injuries.
I think that at the end of the day, listen, Liverpool not been lucky, but not been unlucky with injuries. You know what I mean? They've had their fair share like everybody else. But if they was to lose Salah and Van Dijk in February, then there's nothing they can do about it. The one thing that we got Saka was gone down in January, before January. So at the end of the day, listen, we could have lost Saka and we could lose another one in February. There's nothing you can do about it. And you just, like we did with Saliba and Tomiyasu, we had to just get on with it. We've got an opportunity now where we can do something about it. And if the club choose not to, then I'm afraid it's down on them, and you can, they come under the pump for it then. I'm sorry, you know what I mean? I'm not excited about January until we sign players, because we could go and win every game in January. It will come back and bite us in February and March, guaranteed. So it's up to Arsenal now, So I'm waiting and willing and hoping that they can do well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring in some players for us. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally with you there, bro. Let's just finish on this, because I don't like to finish on a negative. And I don't think it is a negative. I think it's just a statement, and perhaps it won't happen at all. How will Lee Judges feel if it shuts and nothing has happened and Arsenal have done nothing and not got anyone in? Like, really, seriously, what will you be on will you
Devastated.
be, how would you feel? Yeah,
Devastated, because at this moment in time, I believe, whether you think I'm deluded or whatever, we've still got a chance of doing something special this season, whether it be in the league, Champions League. I think that we have. If we don't bring anybody down, Stephen says it, I will feel deflated, let down. I think, all of those things. I will do. I will do. I will be, because, I believe I might put myself up for a fall down. I still think that I look at us on Wednesday and walk away from the ground thinking that we're a bloody good football team. And I feel that we can go and win every game in January. I really do, you know what I mean? But we won't be able to maintain it with the players that we've got. We're too thin to go deep in every competition. And Arsenal should be in the stage now, in the phase that they're in, they should be going deep in every competition. It's no good going deep and then blowing out because we've got no one here, nowhere there. Listen, you can go for the whole season. If you didn't have an injury, our squad would be strong enough. But you ain't going to go through.
Going to do that. Yeah.
And these games now, also, don't forget all these games, Dan. People don't realise this, and you might think I'm being silly when I say that. These games now are a lot more tenser than the games in September and August. You know what I mean? Semi-finals, mentally, a lot of pressure on you. Cup games, Champions League, quarter-finals, semi-finals, hopefully. They're all mentally tiring as well, physically and mentally. Takes a lot more out of you a big intense game against Manchester City and Liverpool than it does a game against Ipswich or Brighton. That's no disrespect to Ipswich, Brighton. They're still very, very difficult games to play against, but the intensity and everything there also takes a lot out of you mentally as well as physically. And this is why a lot of teams don't kick on in certain areas of the season. And I think that, that is a thing for Arsenal now. They've got a great chance. How do you feel? I think you'd be the same. You let down is a good thing, really. We've got our best player injured, right? That's not going to come back to the beginning. Now, listen, they might be saying all of this because they don't want other clubs to think, we don't want to be hit by, if they come out and say Saka's out for the season, clubs are going to go, all right, there's another 10, 15 million on our player. So I get all of that. But he's out then. You don't do nothing about it when you've got an opportunity to do something about it. Listen, if it happens in February, you have to hold your hands up, but it isn't. You've got a chance to do something now, and I will be let down. We'll be let down.
Mate, I'll be devastated, I'll be disappointed, I'll be angry, and I'll be heated, and I'll probably have a bit of a meltdown, if I'm honest, all those emotions, because it will just prove to me one thing that I believe strongly. We have zero ambition to win the league. And if we do nothing in January, it will prove that. Now, that hasn't happened, and it does look like we are going to try and do something. If we don't, I won't be angry with one or two of them. I'll be angry with everybody part of the club because they ain't run well enough, mate. If you go through the summer window and January transfer window, and there's 4 players, 3 of which have hardly kicked a ball yet, that is not good enough for Arsenal Football Club. We've got a goalkeeper that ain't played for us yet. We've got Sterling, who's hardly trusted or played. Marino's just getting himself into it, but had a fractured shoulder. Calafiori, who's as injury prone as all the other left backs we got, that ain't good enough. So we've got to go and get a couple of players in. Now, I don't think we will. I think we'll get one in. I think that'll be it. I don't know who, but I think it'll be a wide forward. And I think that is all we're going to do. Is that going to be enough? We'll have to find out, won't we? And I keep saying this, Lee. People say to me, what about this? What would you do if that happened? What would you do? And my question is, tell me in May. Ask me in May. Ask me in May, and I'll give you an honest opinion about this manager. I'll give you an honest opinion about this ownership. And I'll give you an honest opinion about this squad. And if you don't like it, then that's all good. Well, but I tell you this, you will like it if we're doing that at the end of May.
Well, I reckon nice I agree with you as the manager's concerned and what happens in May and all that, but I think January, by the end of January, we'll know a lot about everything.
I agree.
I really do. I really do. I think January will tell you everything you need to know about the ambition of this football club because we've lost our best player. And you don't replace him or get somebody in to the other thing is, Dan, even if he does come back, you can't rush him back.
No.
So I think it would be,
No, it'd be horrendous. It'd be disappointing, to say the least. This comes in from Ryan. He says, just logged on, seen the title. Is the Cunha piece genuine? Look, I don't know, is the answer. I don't know if it is. Nobody knows. That's the rumour at the moment, that we're looking to agree terms with him. And it's going to take something spectacular for Wolves to want to accept an offer from him because he's basically one of their best players, or if not the best player they've got. So it's going to be quite interesting. The source, I don't know if it's reliable or unreliable. I'm not going to give an opinion on it, but that is what is being reported at the moment. So let's hope that something is moving towards Arsenal getting a player in. I've got to say, I'd take Cunha if we're talking sort of 45 or 50 million. But if we start getting towards 70 or 80, I think that's just way too much, and we should be looking elsewhere personally because we can get a lot better, in my opinion, in a position that we need up top, like Gyökeres or Osimhen maybe, and probably we could probably try and get a Cuttle in, if I'm honest. Because if you were linked with Cunha for 80, but Marmoush and Brian and Buemo for pretty much 90, 95, I'd take that option and get 2 in. Yeah, that's
exactly that.
That's the way I see it. We've got to be sensible with it at the same time. Listen, we're going to wrap it up there. Absolute legends. We've had well over 1,000 of you in here across both channels. So thank you so much, guys. That's amazing. Make sure you hit the like button, people. You've got to be doing that for us, and subscribe. We're getting close to 30k, close to 40k on both our channels. So please make sure that you get us there. Big up to every single one of you. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the interaction. Lee, I'll let you say goodbye and have the last word, mate.
Yeah, listen, enjoy the game tomorrow. Let's hope Arsenal can do it. Thoughts and prayers with you, Adrian. Get this sorted out, mate. And listen, a word for everybody, enjoy life, enjoy each other, take care of each other. And if the Arsenal don't do it, it ain't the end of the world, even though it seems it is.